Going to talk about a couple of things. One of the biggest signals of 2026, where Bitcoin is heading to the next move, because you now hear a lot of different opinions that we are crashing down to the 50s, we are going up to the 100K. So we're going to talk about that. I will show you a couple of numbers, some data, and what are the biggest catalysts that we are looking for, because these catalysts can really reshape the market right now. But before we move on, let's see who do we have in here. I hope you can guys see the comments popping up on the screen. Are those visible? Let me know in the comments. Hi YKH. Hi Sebas. Good to see you guys. First, let me show you something pretty interesting. Can you guys see the comments? Can you hear me? I hope you can. Great. So Bitcoin just sent one of the biggest signals of 2026. Yesterday, or a couple of days ago, in fact, on 11th of May, a wallet had been completely dormant, for 12 years and a half, suddenly moved 500 Bitcoin, which are worth around 40 million. So these coins were bought back in 2013, and when Bitcoin was just under $1,000. The holder survived every crash, every bear market, every panic, and never touched the coins until now. So I want to tell you something very important here. The Bitcoin didn't go to Coinbase, didn't go to Binance or any exchange wallet. It was moved to a completely fresh native SegWit address created just one day earlier. And that matters because when you have ancient whales, they send coins directly to exchanges. This usually means, selling pressure. But this transaction looked quite different. The fee was tiny, the destination was private, and on-chain analysts believe that this was just some kind of over-the-counter preparation, which means a private institutional transaction rather than a public market dump. And on this same day, we will not go through this article that I'm showing you. I'll just tell you what it is about briefly. On the same day, you also have around 900 Bitcoin from multiple dormant wallets created between 2013 and 2017 that also moved. So the question that we are all asking, why now? And there are three main possibilities for this move. First, one is just simple profit taking. These holders are sitting on life-changing gains, to be honest. And finally, they have the liquidity infrastructure to exit professionally. That's one. The second one is custody upgrades. Bitcoin security standards have evolved since 2013, and some holders may simply be, moving into modern wallet structure. But now, the third possibility is the most important one, that these holders may be repositioning ahead of a major shift in the Bitcoin market, because the timing of all these old whales is extremely interesting. This week we have the Senate Banking Committee voting on the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, potentially the biggest crypto market structure legislation in US history. At the same time, there are reports that a major announcement regarding the US strategic Bitcoin reserve could also arrive within weeks. Meanwhile, you've got BlackRock Fidelity ETFs absorbing huge amounts of Bitcoin. ETF inflows are outpacing new mine supply. And as you know, more than 95% of Bitcoin has already been mined. Millions of coins are also permanently lost. So institutional demand keeps rising while liquidity supply keeps shrinking. So that's the bigger story here. This isn't just, about one whale moving coins. It's about early Bitcoin holders, institutions, and even governments all making the same making moves at the same time as regulatory clarity and institutional adoption accelerates. So obviously the blockchain doesn't tell us what is the intent here, but we don't know if these coins are being actually sold, accumulated, transferred to custody, or positioned for something bigger. But what we know is this. People who have held Bitcoin the longest are suddenly becoming active during one of the most important regulatory and institutional moments in Bitcoin history. And historically, these moves happen before the headlines fully arrive to us. And it will be interesting to see what will happen. But this is a big sign, whether they're going to be selling, whether they're preparing for some kind of bigger regulation coming into place. We'll get to know this over the next couple of days. And as we speak, Bitcoin is right now trending around 79k. And the short squeeze setup that I've been talking about for weeks is still active. Why Bitcoin went to 79k? Well, from 81 to 79 today, it was pushed by the CPI data which we received just an hour ago. The CPI data came in higher than expectations. The PPI came in at 6 versus the 4.9% which was expected, and the core PPI came in at 5.2% versus the 4.3% expected. So for crypto specifically, in the short term, this is usually negative because it means liquidity expectations worsen and traders decide to just de-risk temporarily. But in the medium to long term, if inflation remains, structurally high, some investors later will rotate back into Bitcoin as an inflation hedge narrative that we've got. But also, that this higher inflation may push Fed to increase interest rates, or at least not cut interest rates, which is another important point. So that's what's driving the current drop for Bitcoin. And I'll tell you where I see it going next, either lower or higher. Let's see who else we've got in here before we move on to... Hi, Fernando. Hi, David. Good to see you guys. Clear. Good. Hi, James. Good afternoon. Good morning. Depends on where you are, guys. Okay. Now, let me show you the liquidation heat map. We talked about this in my last video and the last live stream. We see first that we have very big spikes, as you can see those red lines, at the very close to the current price for Bitcoin, which is 79k. And these spikes mean that in short term, many leveraged longs are packed below the current price level, which means that a lot of people right now are longing Bitcoin with stop losses over here at 77, 78.2, 76k level. A lot of stop losses. So market makers and liquidity hunters often push price into these zones first. So a flush downwards could trigger a cascade of long liquidations and more downward pressure. So we can see potentially Bitcoin dipping further to the 70, maybe 77, 76k level. And then I would personally expect upward reversal after the long liquidity is cleared. Why? Because of the liquidation clusters that are sitting above the current price. I still think a move to the 85k level is very possible. You can see that the cumulative is 10,000 and here we have only 800. So we have much bigger amounts of shorts, people shorting Bitcoin rather than longing it. And to be honest with you, even if we go higher to the 85, 86k, I would not consider this as, as a bull market, any kind of bull market. And the other day I made a poll, let me show you guys, on X, not on X, on, let me show you. I asked you on YouTube, you can guys go and check it out. Do you think we are still in a bull run? And I am on the same page as a lot of you. 65% think no, and 35% actually think that we are in a bull run. Well, I would also personally vote for no. Why? Because for me, I'm looking for one key level. That's the 50-week moving average, which is around 95k. As long as we remain below that, I don't see any kind of signs of a bull market. Once Bitcoin reclaims this and holds above 95k level, which is the 50-week moving average, I would personally start considering that we're probably moving to a bull market and bullish momentum is coming. But until we go there, I still view this as a bear market trap rally. not a full trend reversal, as a lot of people still think. So technically, to be honest with you, the chart looks very strong at this stage. We keep making, if I go to the daily chart, we keep still making higher highs and higher lows. As you can see, the trend is very bullish, but until we reclaim that, I would not consider this as a bull market. And there is definitely momentum behind these moves, but fundamentals are actually going to decide whether this rally keeps going or it fades out. And this week is absolutely packed with, major catalysts. The first and big one is Trump meeting the Chinese president. And in fact, Trump is taking with him, let me show you some of the news that I saw. He is taking a lot of CEOs with him: Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Larry Fink, and Brian. You can see all of those names and many others which are not actually being disclosed yet. So him meeting the Chinese president in China this week, they will be talking about the tariffs, Taiwan, AI chip exports, the Iran, the ongoing war, and overall trade relations. So depending on what comes out of these talks, markets could react very aggressively in both directions. Can go up massively, we can go down to the 70s, potentially 60s. But if tension cools down, when we have tariffs ease and nice talk, that's likely bullish for risk assets and Bitcoin. But if talks are a little bit more hostile, no conclusions, we could see the dollar getting stronger and markets pull back harder. So I would say expect both. I think we just saw the news that he just a couple of hours ago he actually arrived in China. So it will be very interesting to see what is the outcome of this, and this will definitely impact the market direction. Now, apart from this, hi Paul, good to see you as well. As I said, another major catalyst this week is the Clarity Act. This is one of the biggest crypto regulation bills in the US that has been worked on for years. It covers altcoins classification, decentralized finance, crypto exchanges, ISO frameworks, and basically the future structure of crypto regulations in America. So if we get this bill moved forward positively, it could actually create a huge boost in sentiment for the crypto market, especially for the altcoins. But remember, even if sentiment pumps prices in the short term, we actually will not see this law, the regulation, being finalized until later in the year. So this event is dangerous because it can become something like buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. But anyway, it's very bullish for crypto. And the third thing that I want to talk about is the transition of the Federal Reserve. That's also something very important we are going to see this week. We have the Fed Chair Powell, his term coming to, he's stepping down as Fed Chair, and then we have Kevin Warsh is coming in, who is seen as pro-crypto. So a lot of people are expecting, an immediate pivot here. Towards rate cuts, easier monetary policy, expanding of balance sheets, more liquidity into the space. But personally, I don't think the Fed can move that quickly yet, because inflation pressure are still elevated, especially with oil prices staying high. So even if markets initially, react positively to comments around this positive comments, I think traders should still stay careful here, because that optimism could fade pretty fast once reality sets back in. And we have oil prices, inflation numbers coming high. So really, people are expecting Kevin Warsh as pro-crypto to pump our backs, but I don't think this is going to be that easy and simple. So overall, if you're asking about my view, what I would tell you is that in short term, Bitcoin still has room to squeeze higher, to go to the 85K level. because the liquidity above the current price is very attractive for market makers. But unless Bitcoin can reclaim the 50 weekly moving average on the weekly time frame, I'm still cautious on calling this, a true bull market. For me, it's a bear trap rally. And this week is going to be, as I said, extremely important for crypto and macro markets. So watch these headlines very carefully because volatility is 100% guarantee with everything that happens. So let's see how that's on Bitcoin. As I said, I still see us going a little bit higher to the 85 because of these catalysts that we have this week. Potentially we can go higher and then reverse back downwards. We'll be watching the headlines. I'll update you guys on Discord as well and see where we head further. Now, let's see what, did you guys manage to take any profits on the rally or are you still holding? Let me know what you are doing. I would be interested to see. I personally took some profits off Bill, which I think I took it pretty early because we bought this project at 0.36. Let me open it on CoinMarketCap. Bill. My buy alert on Discord was at 0.36 down here at the very start, and it actually pumped to 20 cents. I sold it for 3x and it's already 5.5x from the buy price, but I'm still other people are holding it on Discord, which is great. I'm happy to see people making money. What else? I took profits of another project we bought on Discord, but mainly these projects that have been accumulating, such as Sui, Solana, Caspa, Sei. I haven't sold my positions. I'm still holding and planning to accumulate. But as I said, if Bitcoin holds around the 80s, I see the market having the altcoins having another pump, especially if this bill, the Clarity Act, moves forward. This will be very good for altcoins, and we would see the altcoins having another leg up, at least in the short term, which is important. And this would be the opportunity for you guys. If you're in profit on something, take off your profits and reinvest later on at lower prices, because definitely a bigger crash is coming on our way. You have stocks at all-time high, you have gold and silver sitting at very high, oil prices elevated. So definitely AI tech, the AI sector is booming. So this balloon would definitely, would definitely pop soon. Holding, YKH, still holding, that's great. Hi Sarah, hi. Great info, thanks. What do you think about rotating some recent gains into stable coins? Yeah, definitely, that's what I'm saying. If you are already in profits on some projects, in my opinion, take the advantage to de-risk. Take your profits, move it into stable coins and wait for the market to retrace, because as I said, I definitely see the balloon popping. It might not be this week, next week, or in 1 month, but it is coming, definitely coming soon. So we would have much better and cheaper prices to accumulate. But if you don't want to be sidelined, just in case, we now reclaim the 95k and we start moving up only, it's a confirmed bull market and you don't want to be sidelined, don't sell all your positions. Maybe all your positions, just sell some kind of percentage. Maybe sell 50% or 80% and leave 20%, 30% in, just in case, this turns out to be this here 59k turns out to be the bottom, and now we only start moving up slowly. There is this possibility, but in my opinion, it's very small compared to this being just some kind of a trap, this pump. But in crypto, everything is possible. We can always be surprised. So it's good to to make sure that you're still in the game, not fully exited. Let's see what is pumping. Bill, as I said, we added this on Discord. UB. That was a very good project. AI has been on my watch list since $2 and it went up to 17. Tau. I see Tia showing strength, which is pretty good. I like Tia as a project, but I personally think Sui is better, if you're asking me. So I hope I answered your question about rotating into some gains into stable coins. I definitely think this is a good and smart approach. But as I said, don't sell maybe everything, just partial profits. Do you guys have any questions or anything that you want to discuss or to ask? A great question, by the way. And I think, as I said, would definitely be a smart move to rotate. I'm also planning to take some profits soon into stable coins and buy on the dips moving forward. I've released my accumulation strategy last month. It's available on Discord if you want to see it. You would find link to Discord under the description of this video or on this live stream or under any video that I make. And you can join us on Discord, see how I'm accumulating, when and what I'm buying and when, and what I'm selling and when. I'm sure you would find it very useful. Okay, well, if there are no questions, we'll maybe just wrap it here, and I'll see you again later this week, guys, with some more information and updates. As I said, 3 main catalysts. Let's observe those, see how we go. I still see us moving maybe to the 85k level before we start reversing. So let's just watch these catalysts. Thanks for being here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next live stream or the next video throughout the week.